Hey guys, today I'm going to be going over my personal 14.12 top lane tier list. This is going to be a pretty detailed rundown of the different champions and their respective strengths and the power level, given contexts and how often they are powerful in specific game or in every game, basically. And so, yeah, basically. We'll start with Camille, pretty self-explanatory. She just got overbuffed. Pretty much everything you could ask for. Good weak side, super good strong side. Basically gives your jungler a 7th camp to farm once she hits level 6. Hard wins a lot of top matchups. Really only can hard lose to Fiora. Even Jax, Gwen, she can go even into these matchups. Skarner, also, this champion has just insane scaling, stupid amount of poke damage, does way too much sustained damage for a tank. He can build full tank items and still, you see massive amounts of percent health damage. Fiora is up here not because she is by power the strongest, unbalanced champion like perhaps Camille could be, but there is not a single matchup in top lane where a really skilled Fiora player could 100% lose. There's things like Ken and Rumble can give her some trouble, but she is an insane blind pick. And also hard counters tanks similar to Gwen. She can just fuck with an entire class of champions. Rumble, also insane blind pick. Good lane bully, good scaling, good damage composition. Building him against him has reduced value, so he also helps out your mid laner. Can stonewall a lot of carries with his shield sustain poke. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Ornn. Champion is underrated as fuck. OP champ. Not sure why people aren't playing him more. New items give him a lot more versatility. Insane scaling, good lane phase. And the rise of AD mid laners actually softens his weakness of split pushing against him, because he's gonna have a Yone, a Tristan, a Corki, these sorts of things that are going to be holding the side lane for him if he's counterpicked with a Fiora, a Camille, an Alawi. And so really the only counterplay to him is smashing him in lane, but that's unrealistic. So let's let's not think that. And one more thing, more flexibility with the new upgrades. So say your Vayne 8 hyper carries against Rumble Karthus, two very popular champs in the meta. You can just upgrade her Wit's End, and now she becomes very harder to kill, right? More flexibility in his passive. Udyr, not sure why people stopped playing him. Udyr really is still a complete stonewall lane neutralizer. One of the only answers to Rumble's poke damage, that they found, the pro players found a couple months ago. Champ's so strong. People just built him wrong. Should be Leandries into tank, not just full tank. Let's see. Greg is still passive. This champion has uninteractive trading patterns. His sustain is stupid. Counters a lot of dash champs. Neutralizes Camille. Beats Jax, or neutralizes Jax. Neutralizes, pretty much everything. Stupid blind pick. Might even put him in Z tier, but his passive just got tagged. So we'll have to see where that works out. So he's down here for now. Jax, still one of the premier carry options. Can still proxy waves. His E change a while ago didn't really change that. Wins level 1, which basically lets him win a lot of lanes off the start. This is why he can even do okay into Rumble and Gragas, his supposed counters, is because he actually beats them level 1, right? Moving on, I'm not going to go over every champion, just a lot of them. We have Kennen. Kennen, his ult change where he can move during ult makes him, puts him back up here with other contenders for some of the best blind picks. Pretty much has no losing lanes, insane team fighting, okay side laning. Zac, Maokai, these are both champions similar to Udi or Gragas, except they are just, I guess, can still be beaten, but it's just really freaking hard to. A good Fior could give them trouble. A good Fior can't give Udi or Gragas trouble. These champions still stupid amounts of sustain. I guess we'll have to see what Riot does about them. Not sure why people aren't playing Maokai more. Aatrox, after his bruiser changes where he scales his healing off of health, I guess Riot forgot Edge of Night gives health, and he was already building some health anyways, so he basically has even better healing than before while still being able to build mostly lethality. And so this champ, not a lot of bad matchups. Camille counters him. Camille smashes him at one item, Gwen smashes him at an item, but he doesn't really have a bad lane matchup, right? TF, this could go down to the start of A because of his recent nerfs. In fact, yeah, TF's actually probably, in front of Cassante. ADTF was a very good lane bully for a while, because he could run Flash Ghost while still having Teleport. And, in competitive, you have to run Teleport. That's just the way it is. And so that that gave him a lot of room to bully melee matchups. And against rain matchups, he could gold card Jumbo Gate. Let's see. We have GP just got buffed. Barrel slow. That doesn't really do too much, but he will have some okay items coming in the new patch. Oh shit, I skipped counter. Poppy, good counter to a lot of the premier carries right now. Gwen, tank counter. Didn't get nerfed after HP changes for some reason. Darius, good, one of the only good Skarner counters. Alawi, good Ornn counter. Decent Skarner counter. Decent Jax counter. Shit, Summer Nectin. I don't even know. Then we have Vayne. Vayne fills a very nice niche of when your team has too many, when your team already has enough tankiness, and she can give even more. She can bend over the tank class even more than Gwen and Fior can, given that she's set up for it. You can't really just. This is why you see Vayne come down in R5 late in the draft. This isn't a champ you can early rotate. Though I suppose you could flex her. Nasus shits on Twisted Fate. Probably one of the only Twisted Fate counters. But now that he's nerfed, we don't really need him as much anymore. Also, completely takes Kalista out of the game, although Kalista is also nerfed. So, he gets beat by a lot of the Z-tier picks. However, Nasus in the right spot. Same with Olaf. These champs get countered by Z-tiers, but if you pick them into specific champions, they are just, they can take over games 1v5, right? Okay, I'm back. My recording did get corrupted for some reason, so I'm recording this for a second time. Left off on Malphite. So we have more since the QSS change, has been more consistent, more reliable in his ability to ult away carries and junglers during objective fights, which doesn't actually let them smite. So honestly, pretty crazy champion at doing that. Though, there's very limited matchups you would actually want to have a Mordekaiser in. He has been found as one of the counters to Skarner. So yeah. Vladimir, after his new W buff, has some crazy sustain. He can actually siphon healing off the wave. If you're not sure what Riot did, they buffed the healing he received by 2 times on his W. and reduce the cost of it, casting W. And so people, there's some people actually going W Max Vladimir just to lane sustain. I'm not sure how that actually is right now, but I do know he's quite strong. Singed, pretty solid at Jax, pretty solid into a lot of the tanks because he does actually scale quite well, and can proxy out of some bad matchups, though you still just don't want to blind Singed. Cassante has been nerfed a lot. He's been kneecapped. You know, Showmaker Cassante meme, good job, right? He's still pretty okay, but there's a lot of meta champions that are just do his job better. Ornn is a better tank. Still good side laning, good 1v1, but team fight is probably 2 times as good as Cassante's. We have Camille, who can also team fight in side lane. Skarner can team fight in side lane. There's just not really a reason to pick him after he's been kneecapped so much. GP, solid blind, though we'll have to see, you know, how he actually pans out after the Essence Reaver removal, basically. The item is nothing of its former self. So GP's having to use Triforce again, even though Riot wants him to build crit. It's not doing very well, though they did just buff him. We'll kind of have to see, you know, again, how this all plays out. How GP settles after the dust of the emotes and item changes. Probably will be back up at S though. It's looking very promising for him. We have champions, you know, solid champions here. You know, that inting sound still somehow, you know, is kind of a thing. Riven has been buffed a lot in the past couple years, kind of rising up to power. Garen, the last Garen change actually made him very hard to push out of lane with his new W, which lasts 4 seconds at rank 1, which is pretty crazy. We have Cass, Ryze. Really have no freaking idea why these aren't being picked in pro play right now. Ryze has had his passive amplified by 2 times since he was pick banned in pro. I'm really freaking confused why he's not being picked. Cass is also a very solid counter to a lot of these dash champions because of her W grounding people. Really good into mid-range comps. Nothing more to say here. Really underutilized champions. Pantheon, solid lane bully. Skills okay. You know, we have Quinn. We have the Baus Quinn rising to fame. One shot a wave. Use mobility boots. Run the other side of the map in 6 seconds. Really hard. Not hard. Impossible to match tempo with this current state of Quinn and her itemization. Yone, ever since Lethal Tempo, not quite as good. He still is great. The Absorb Life new rune is good for him. He can sustain a lot more. Probably an S tier, maybe Z tier pick in mid lane. However, Yone and top lane trades are much more extended and lethal, so not too good for him because, you know, he wants to utilize the sustain from his rune system he usually goes for. Nothing too out of the ordinary in B tier. Wukong has been buffed a lot for top lane. Honestly, probably better than where I have him here, but I don't want to give a false impression that he's actually some, you know, god tier champion when he's not. Though Wukong is quite strong in at 80 picks now, his passive has been buffed quite a bit for top lane. We have Nocturne, who is a insane jack of all trades abuser. I'll put on the screen now. He can go Stridebreaker, Frozen Heart, Doran's Blade, Merc Treads, and he will have a full stack of jack of all trades, and that is normally what Nocturne wants to actually be building anyways. And full stack jack of all trades base almost gives him like a third item, like half. It gives him half of the third item pretty much from the stats it gives. Basically, this is what is allowing Nocturne to be quite good right now. We have Sejuani, whose passive has been buffed, solid in the dash champs, kind of like Gragas stonewalls a lot of the engaged champs, but does kind of a worse job because Gragas is just pretty broken. But her passive actually makes her tankier than an Ornn and a Ramus at the start of fights late game. We have Renekton, who is a dog shit champion. Don't pick Renekton, man. Unless it's into, you know, things like, he's actually one of the great counters to Camille. He is good into, he's okay. I think he's pretty good in Fiora. Dog shit in a Rumble, dog into Ornn. You only want to pick this champion in niche situations. Blinding Renekton is stupid. I don't know why people do it in pro play. We have Akali, who's been nerfed quite a bit. Tryndamere, who has been nerfed ever since the marksman item changes. We have Kayle. Honestly, people are just getting better at playing the game, scaling. The difference between Kayle and other scaling champs like GP, Nasus, Vlad, these champions have ways to be safe and can actually go even in a lot of matchups and then become late game gods. However, Kayle is kind of like a dog who is accepting scraps from her opponent. Whatever they give him, she can take, because she doesn't actually have a way to neutralize a lot of lanes. It's the same way GP, Nasus, Vlad can. Teemo, Voli, Tom, kind of just weird champions. Mundo, pretty bad with how good Fior, Camille, Gwen are. How good Rumble is. No reason to really pick Mundo. I guess if you have a rare angle, they have 0 Bork users and 0 max HP damage, and they blind something like a Renekton, then maybe, like, stupidly enough, then you can maybe pick them. Kayn, Shyvana, kind of just not even top lane champs. These are junglers that can try to play into, you know, very not volatile matchups, like maybe Sion, Red Kayn and a Sion. That's something I can think of. Maybe if you want to do Shyvana Yasuo pairing, Shyvana, Diana, Yasuo, and your Shyvana's into like a blind, I don't know, man. This is why she's last place. Can't really pick Shyvana anywhere. So, so this is my top lane tier list. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.